Hi guys, thanks for joining me. Today's little video is going to be a tutorial about a pose called Navasana, which is the boat pose. Some of you may be familiar with it. And this is an awesome pose. It shows up in quite a regular yoga class and is sort of a daunting pose for people because it is a really strong core strengthening posture. There are some techniques about this pose that can make a big difference in how this pose helps you to develop strength, and also finding the alignment that you're not putting any pressure on your back, but you're really learning how to engage your deeper core muscles. So let's give it a try. So you can do this at home. You don't really need a yoga mat. If you have one handy, I'd recommend you grab it, but do make sure that if you're on a hard floor that you do have a little cushioning underneath you. So maybe put a little towel down or something that can cushion you from the floor. And we're gonna come right into it. So hopefully you're a little bit warmed up before you try this, or maybe you just try this at home next time you're practicing. So let's have a look at the actual pose first. So Navasana, there's a couple different variations out there. You know, one variation is having the knees bent. This is a little bit easier than the second variation, which I'll show you, which is to straighten the legs. This really requires quite a lot of strength through the hip flexors, so the muscles running through the front of the hip, but especially the deeper core muscles, so transverse abdominis, psoas, even one of the deeper muscles in our abdominal area, and then some of the muscles at the front, the rectus, you know, the six-pack muscle, the one everyone wants. Rectus abdominis is the name. So how do we build that strength? And the thing is to sort of break this down in steps and to be very aware about where the weight is on your bum when you're coming into this posture. So most people, they're lacking a little bit of strength in the core, and their back will try to take over by putting them in this posterior tilt where the tailbone curls underneath, the lower back starts to round, and you'll find that when you're in this position that most of the weight is on your tailbone. So you're kind of scooping to the back edge of the tailbone and then you're here. And you see this a lot when people kind of have a long version of this posture where they're leaning back a lot to try to hold it and sort of bringing the chest forward. And this, if you practice this pose this way over time, can put pressure on your lower back. So it's not ideal. We want to try to find a way to be more on the sitting bones, so the little bony bits on your bum, which are a little bit forward of the tailbone. So how do we do that? I'm going to suggest that you actually start with your feet on the ground. And you can even just start with your hands right under the thighs and get a good grip there. And then we're going to lean back and just kind of get a sense of leaning back too far. So allow yourself to go way back to where you feel like you're actually kind of collapsing your chest and you're on your tailbone more. And then go ahead and pull on your legs to bring yourself up and see if you can grow nice and tall. So you're more on your sitting bones and your back should be nice and straight and your chest is elevated. Okay, so we'll try that again. So keep a good grip on your thighs so that you're able to kind of control going all the way back, rounding the chest or collapsing the chest, and then see if you can come out of that. Okay, so coming out of it, this is actually where we want to be. Now keep everything the same, but now go ahead and just release your arms. Okay, hold it nice and strong. Keep your back straight. So this in essence is Navasana right here, even with the feet on the floor. And let's relax, just release that. So you probably feel, if you stay there for a little while, you're already going to have a lot of engagement through your core. And this is part of the benefit of this posture, that it's strengthening in that way. Now let's try the next variation where the feet come off the floor. So we'll start from our first position, just stretching the arms out and just finding that weight more on the sitting bones than on the tailbone so your back is able to stay straight. Now we're going to lean back just a little and then see if we can sort of pull the feet off the floor. And we're going to hold here for a count of 5. So nice deep breaths. 1, point your toes, big toes together. 2, keep your back straight. 3, make sure you don't collapse the chest, keep it up. 4, 5, and then releasing from that. How's that? Easy? Maybe not so easy. So it's interesting because when you're looking at your anatomy, your deeper core muscles that we're actually trying to get to do this work, they tend to be not as strong as the rec fem, which is this muscle that's running through your quad, and it actually crosses your hip, runs through the front of the hip, and connects in towards your spine. So this muscle for people tends to be strong and also very tight, and so it tends to take over. So you're gonna find that when we go to this next variation, the last variation, that a lot of times you get a cramp in your quad, and that's actually kind of normal. It's just telling you that that muscle is really tight and strong, and it's trying to do the work of your deeper core muscles that, you know, maybe need to be worked on and practiced with a little bit longer before your muscles know how to switch on. So don't worry too much if you get the cramp. Just let yourself scale it back, come back to the second position, but just kind of knowing what that's all about is really helpful. And it's probably not going to hurt you long term. It's just this idea of like, okay, I need to keep working on engaging my core. Okay, so coming back into our first position, nice tall spine, lifting the chest, lean back, lifting your feet off the ground. Now go ahead and straighten up both legs. Maybe they straighten a little bit, if maybe they can straighten all the way, and then see if you can maintain that form. So your spine is straight, you're sucking your lower belly in, you're nice and strong here. Take a big breath, maybe a little smile, it hurts, and exhale, release that. So the main thing here is that your back really should be straight, just so that your back doesn't, take too much stress or pressure from the pose. Back straight, more weight on the sitting bones, and then working with the progression with where you can breathe and where you can kind of enjoy the effort of the pose that's obviously there. So safe practicing, guys. I hope you got a little bit out of that tutorial, and I'd love some feedback if you have any questions or comments about that. I would love to hear it, and have an awesome day. Namaste.